Good evening. I'm in Matthew 9, if you want to be joining me there momentarily. Matthew chapter 9. Our questions today was from Luke chapter 22. See if I got any kiddos in the building that knows some answers. Where were they going to have the Passover? There was a large, furnished upper room, right? In the upper room is where they were going to observe the Passover for the last time. Remember, at least in Jesus' life on this earth. By Luke 22, we're getting real close to the cross and to the end of Jesus' earthly life. And so he wants to have this last Passover together. And there is an upper room that is large and furnished and ready for them. And so they go up there, spend a great deal of time in the discourse up there, according to John's account as you read the Gospel of John. While up there in the upper room, one of the things that happened was Jesus instituted what we call the Lord's Supper. In that, he said that the cup was what? His blood. It took me a little while to get Paxton to accept that as an answer, because he thought that was pretty gross, okay? But that's what he says, right? That's what he says. Take this cup. It is the new covenant in my blood. Drink of it. And of course, he goes on at the table there as they were having that meal together, obviously having already taken the bread. And then he takes the cup and says, this is the new covenant in my blood. And then toward the end of the chapter of Luke 22, it's time for Jesus to get arrested. And as part of the arresting scene, one of Jesus' servants takes out a sword and cuts off a part of the body of one of the high priest's servants. What did he cut off? His right ear. And I've been told that Peter probably wasn't good with a sword, and so he really meant to kill him, but he missed him, and he just hit his ear. I don't know. But Jesus goes on and puts the ear back on, right? So whatever the case, the man got his ear back, and so all is well there. It's been a great day today. If you wasn't here this morning, what a wonderful way to start the year. Exciting, great. As a church, there's phases, there's cycles, there's life. It's just like any other organism. And it goes through periods of growth and periods of decline, and there's new births, and there's deaths, and it's all this one big cycle. And the reality of the need for vision within the cycle is imperative. And so what I want us to do on Sunday nights, beginning tonight, is I want these to be a little more specific, though I'm not going to be calling anybody's name, but I do want them to be a little more specific. I want them to be a little more intimate. I want us to think a little bit more about what it is we're here for in the first place. Because here's what I've concluded. Some people get up and come to church on Sunday morning because, well, that's just what you're supposed to do, all right? But I'm not convinced that people get up on Sunday evening and come to church during the NFL playoffs just because that's what you're supposed to do. I believe you're here for a different reason. I believe you're here for a better reason. I believe you're here for a deeper reason. And so with that assumption of mine, I want us to think this year about what it is, and these have been suggestions given to me, about what it is that our vision needs to be more clear. And so we began for several weeks here to talk about the church. What is the church? What does it look like? What is her mission? Who makes her up? How do you be a fruitful member of her? How do you help other people within her? That is the church. And so it's not all about evangelism. It's also about helping one another. It's about edification. It's about building one another up. It's about being able to see one another. It's about being able to be transparent with one another. It's about having the desire to help one another. And so we look at the church and we think about what she is, and then we look at where she is as far as what is the Leoma church in this community? What is the Leoma church to the state of Tennessee? What is she to the world? What impact can she have? What does our vision do to impact the world around us religiously? And so we think small and we think big in our vision. And we develop this, but we don't ever lose sight of each other and one another and how we need to see each other. And so that's a huge part of our vision. One of the greatest blessings about the church is that the Lord set up leadership within the church. And so part of our vision has to be a continual look into leadership, looking into the future, looking into the spiritual lives and development of people. And so part of our vision for the church will involve church leadership. Who is that? What do they look like? Where do they come from? How do we develop them? Not just for now and here in 2020, but for the future and for long term. How do we help the church to get a vision of her leadership in a God-honoring way? And then at some point in the year, we're going to go off into James, the book of James. And we're going to talk about vision from James's perspective. And some things that James had to say about vision and about how important vision is and about some different areas in life where vision's going to come into play. And then we'll close the year talking about our vision for God and our vision and our need for balance within our vision of God. And so that's kind of where we're headed. Tonight is the first night. And so we began by asking this question: what is vision? Well, if you look it up in the dictionary, you ready? You taking notes? Here it is. To see what is visible. Man, that's profound. Wish I had thought of it myself. What is vision? Vision is to see what is visible. And that makes perfect sense. But then if you keep on in the dictionary, now, if you keep on in the dictionary, it will begin to give definitions to the effect of being able to perceive or being able to discern. My granddaddy would use the word cipher, being able to cipher, right? I'm not sure what he was ciphering, but anyway, he would cipher something, right? To which Jonathan Swift, an English preacher, would say, vision actually becomes the ability, and I quote, to see the invisible. End quote. Wow. So, wait a minute. The dictionary started out with, what is vision? It is the ability to see the visible. Okay? But really what we're after is trying to make some discernments and decipher some things and to perceive some things that will help us to be able to see the invisible. And so what's that going to look like? Well, in Matthew 9, Jesus, verse 35, is going throughout all the cities and the villages, and he's teaching and he's proclaiming and he's healing every disease and affliction, and he sees the people. Verse 36. He sees the people and he has compassion on them. Why? Because they are distressed and helpless. They're like sheep without a shepherd. If we were going to develop a vision, it seems to me that verse 36 makes all the makings of a great vision. What does it take to have a great vision? What does verse 36 say first? Jesus saw people. Church, what does it take to have a proper vision, a vision that would be God-honoring and God-fearing? We must see people. Not clothes, not jobs, not bank accounts, not vehicles, not hairstyle, not skin color, not, you just keep filling in the blanks. We must see people. These are people. I don't care what they look like on the outside. I don't care what they dress like or what they drive or where they work. These are people. If we're going to have a vision that is honoring of the Lord, we as a church must see people. Jesus, as he's going about, he sees the people. And then it's interesting to me that the first thing he sees is the misery of their life. If we're going to have a vision that is God-honoring, we must be willing to get involved in the misery of people's lives. Oh, now wait a minute. That's hard work. Oh, well now wait a minute. That's going to be difficult. That's going to be challenging. That's going to cause me to, you fill in the blank. And that's exactly right. But until you and I can see people and even see some of the struggles and the hurdles and the misery of people's lives, we're not going to be able in this vision to help them find the shepherd. That's what we're trying to do, ain't it? We're trying to help them, as verse 36 ends, because they are like sheep without a shepherd. We're trying to help them find the good shepherd, John 10. We're trying to help them find Jesus. How are we going to do that? We've got to have a vision that sees people. Not numbers, not pew packers, not more hands to work, but people. All of those things may be factual and all that may be correct, but first and foremost, this is a soul. These people are living a life that may have who knows what. Are we going to be willing to find that out? Are we going to be willing to invest the time and the effort? They may be miserable. They may not be miserable. They may be really nice people to get to know. Jesus is finding some people in great affliction here. And he's helping them. It goes on in verse 37. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. If we're going to have a vision that is God-honoring for 2020, we're going to have to recognize, hey, there ain't as many of us as there are of them. And that's just the fact of the matter. There's more to be harvested than there are harvesting. And you can pity party all you want to and bellyache about it all you want to. The only way to get more harvesters is to get out into the harvest and bring people in to join us in the harvesting. That's the only way to change that. There are more of them than there are of us, sure. But our vision has got to recognize that this is not about majority and minority. This is about doing all I can do with the sphere of influence that I have to try in every way that I can to make more, to help more, to bring more, to create more laborers in the field. And obviously, verse 38, Jesus says, make that your plea, your earnest prayer, that there would be more workers. You see, far too often, visions get too small. You know what happens when visions get too small? Here's what happens. Churches start keeping house. Churches start just trying to maintain the status quo. When the vision is too small, it's about things like keeping who we've got. It's about like keeping the lights on, paying the power bill, making sure that it's warm in the winter and cold in the summer and heated and cooled, and we've got a nice We're just keeping house. When visions get too small, it's very limited. It's very limited in its thinking. It's very boxy in its ideas. And it's just all about we don't want to disturb anything or shake up, or we just want to keep on doing what we're doing, and we're content. No, we're complacent with that. It's too small. It's too small. The other fear that I have with our Vision Church is that it's too general. Here's what happens with visions that are too general. Well, what's your vision? Let me tell you what my vision is. I want to go to heaven. Man, that's great. I can't think of another vision better. You know what our vision is for this year? Our vision is to reach the lost. Man, that's great. I don't know why you'd want to be a church if that wasn't part of your vision. You know what our vision is this year? Our vision is to help the needy. Man, that is biblical. That is scriptural. Man, that is great. The problem is it's too general. How you going to do that? Well, I don't know. We ain't thought about that. Well, you want to reach the lost? That's great. Let's reach the lost. But how are we going to do that? Well, that's for somebody else to decide. I've made the vision. You want to go to heaven? That's great. I want to go to heaven too, and I want you to go to heaven with me. How are we going to do that? Well, I don't know. I got this vision. But the problem is that the vision is too general. There's nothing wrong with the vision in and of itself. It's just too general. You want to help the needy? That's great. Let's help all the needy we can help in 2020. I'm all for it. But how are we going to do that? We got to have some type of, you see, in the business world, businesses have to have goals. In the corporate world, if you don't have goals, you don't go anywhere. In terms of countries have goals. You see, that's their vision, that's their goal. But then under those goals, guess what? There's objectives. So the vision says, the goal says, here's what we want to accomplish. Now the objectives say, here's how we're going to do it. And too often, I'm afraid, church, that our vision gets too small and we begin to just keep house. Or our vision gets too general and we've got a bunch of goals, which are great. We don't have any objectives. We don't have any way to measure. We don't have any way to describe how we're going to get to the accomplishment of that goal. And so with that said, let's think about some things that our vision needs. Number one, our vision needs to be great. We serve a great God. He is awesome. Let me tell you something. If your vision for 2020 is to increase the attendance of Leoma by 10, shame on you. Man, that's terrible. That is terrible. You know what our vision should be for this year? To double the attendance. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. Double it. I mean, hey, if it ain't great, it ain't worth doing. I don't know where they'll sit. I don't know where they'll park. I don't know where they'll go to Bible class. But let's double the attendance and let the elders figure that out, okay? I mean, if you're going to have a vision, make it great. I mean, yeah, let's increase by 10. You know what? That's 10. That's great. For those 10 people, more glory to God. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. What do you do after 10? You know? What do you do after 10? You say, well, now, wait a minute. A vision has got to be realistic. Okay, so let's make it realistic. Number two, our vision's got to be specific. So let's make it realistic. Do you realize, I'm going to make it realistic for you. You know how many people you got to convert in 12 months to double the attendance of this church? You see? That's all it is. I don't have to add any more to him. Now tell me that's not realistic. Are you telling me that in a 12-month period you can't help someone come to know Jesus? Please don't tell me that. You're capable of that. Everybody in this building's capable of that. Just one. That'll double the attendance. If you don't believe me, try it. It'll do it. I'm not strong in math, but hey, I try. It'll do it. So let's make it specific. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? How are we going to put our objectives in place? Who are you going to invite to church this week? Who are you going to invite? Can you invite one person this week to church? I mean, you got 6 days, okay? Just invite somebody to join you at worship next Sunday. Are they going to always come? No. You know better than that. But you invite them. And you might invite them twice or 3 times. And then you pick somebody else out and you invite them. Take some type of religious material this week and put it in somebody's hand. Put it in somebody's hand. Take a tract. Take an AP book. Take whatever you can take. It doesn't have to be big. Take something small. When your waiter or your waitress brings your food to your table this week, when you go out to eat, I don't care if you don't go out to eat, but one time this week, that one time when they drop the food off, say, hey, can I pray for you? Is there anything in your life I can pray about? You want to stop them dead on their tracks? Try it. It'll do it. Just one time this week. You want to make it realistic? I'm trying to make it specific and as realistic as I know how. It's got to be great. Man, if it ain't great, it ain't worth doing. Our God is great. There is nothing impossible for our God. Don't ever limit our God. All things are possible with God. But then make it specific. Put objectives in place where you can look back and say, hey, I did that this week. Or I didn't. I need to do better. I need to do it because I haven't done it. Try it for a few weeks. See how it works. Be specific with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be realistic with yourself. I mean, I think it would be realistic now I want you to invite 10 people every week. That's probably a little unrealistic. Could you do it? Sure you could do it. You meet 10 people a week. Every one of us do. I don't care if you're a hermit. You're going to see 10 people at some point between now and next Sunday. But is that really realistic? Okay, maybe not. So let's keep it realistic. Let's keep it measurable. Let's do one. Just one. Now that doesn't mean you can't invite 2. But let's just make a goal, a very specific goal. One person this week. But then our vision needs faith, doesn't it? And if we're gonna see the invisible, that's what we're trying to do, ain't we? You can't see the invisible. 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 7, for we walk by. See, that's walking, looking at what's invisible. We walk by faith. You see, if we're just walking by sight, then that's what the definition of vision is in its very basic, non-profound, prolific definition. It's just seeing the visible. Man, anybody can do that. Now, we want to be able to perceive and discern and decipher the things that are invisible. Now, this is where faith comes in. Paul says in Romans 1, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation. It's the power of God. Faith. Think about our vision and what faith is involved. Well, I don't know if we can do that or not. Okay. I can't see all of that developing and playing out. Okay. You gonna have any faith? You going to have any trust in God? Are you going to allow yourself to get out of your comfort zone, to do things and to say things and to be there for the Lord in ways that you don't think you can? Or is it going to be all about what I can see and know and be confident in? See, a real vision for a church involves faith, being able to see the invisible, to recognize the power of God as it is working in and through. Now to him who is able to do abundantly, exceedingly, Ephesians 3 and verse 20. We're tapping into that God. Why wouldn't you have a little faith in that God? Above all that we ask or can even think, he is able to do abundantly, exceedingly. Don't let your vision be lacking in faith. If you can see it, what have you really done? Try to see the invisible. A fourth thing that I think that our vision really needs is it needs boldness. It needs boldness. Do you remember what the apostles prayed for in Acts 4? Man, I love it. Peter and John's just been arrested for the second time. And in Acts 4, they're arrested, and Acts 4 and verse 13, they look at them, and they perceive that they're uneducated, unlearned, untrained men, but because of their boldness, what do they conclude? They conclude they've been with Jesus. Read Acts 4 and verse 13. What do they see? They see a bunch of dummy fishermen. That's what they see. But they cannot miss the boldness that they have for Jesus. They say, man, these guys have been with Jesus. So you know down in Acts 4 and verse 29, they're praying. The apostles are praying. What are you going to pray for? You know what they're praying for? To speak Jesus with boldness. God, give us boldness. God, give us courage. These were people who were seen as people who were bold. And what are they praying for? Boldness. Give us boldness. Give us the courage, the tenacity, the strength, the willingness, the desire to be bold. As you fast forward to Acts chapter 9, I think it's about verse 27, Barnabas has gone in because they won't accept Paul in Jerusalem. And Barnabas says to those in Jerusalem, you need to accept Paul. Why? Because I have heard him preach boldly in Damascus. Barnabas says, this guy's bold. We need him. We need him to join us in our mission, in our vision that is involved in boldness. Be bold. Not harsh. Not brash. Not unloving. Not unkind. Not inconsiderate. What did Matthew 9:36 say? Jesus had compassion. Be compassionately bold. Be bold. In Acts chapter 13, in Acts chapter 14, how many do you need? Paul and Barnabas. In Acts chapter 14, they're in Iconium. And the Bible says they preached in Iconium with all boldness. The book of Acts is filled with references to the apostles and their boldness. Why? Because he's asking for it. Are you going to pray tonight? God, help me as a part of the Leoma Church to be bold in 2020. Help me be bold. I want a vision that is great. I want a vision that is specific. I want a vision that has included or involves faith. I want a vision that is bold, but then finally tonight, we've got to be persistent. Got to be persistent. Don't give up on people too quick. Do you realize how many times Thomas Edison failed before he made that invention? We got to be persistent. We We're giving up too quick on people, folks. We can't do that. We've got to be persistent. Well, I invited them twice. I ain't inviting them no more. They didn't come either time. I mean, you know, my granddaddy always said, son, you got one chance, right? And my granddaddy didn't believe in second chances. I'm glad he ain't my God, ain't you? I mean, if you messed up first time, you was in hot water with granddaddy. I mean, he wanted you to get it right the first time. I tell you now, I invite you to church, y'all come now, first time. You don't come first time, man, I ain't giving you no second chances. Third chances, fourth chances, fifth chances. Let me ask you, how persistent is God with you in his desire for you to be his child? And when you answer that question, let me follow it up and give you permission to give up on people when God gives up on you. When you've determined that God has stopped being persistent with you, then you have my permission to stop being persistent with them. It'll be okay at that point. But until that point, let us not grow weary in doing good, Galatians 6 and verse 9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not lose heart. Well, I understand the principle of shake the dust off your sandals and move on. I get it. Yes, we have to do that. Some people will not listen. Some people will not respond. And there comes a time when we have to admit that they're making the wrong decisions, and they're going to continue to do that, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. But that doesn't mean that a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, they may just open that door. You better walk in. You better walk in. When I gave you a chance 20 years ago, your luck's done run out with me. I'm sorry, Charlie. No, you better walk in that door. You have persistence. There may come a time when you back off. There may come a time when you move on. There may come a time when you admit, hey, they know what's right, and they know what they need to do, and until they determine to do it, I'm just going to have to sit back and pray that God will be patient with them. I get all that, yes. That's all part of the vision, but the vision never says, I'm done with you. Because God never says, I'm done with you. It's a persistent vision that we are steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, because we know our labor in the Lord is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 58. We are steadfast. Persevere. Well, I've got a couple of warnings here, but kind of out of time for tonight. I want you to think about that vision. If I were to simplify my warnings very quickly, they would be tunnel and despair. Don't allow yourself to get tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is where you make small problems big ones. Tunnel vision is where you make mountains out of molehills. Tunnel vision is where you let gnats, right, distract you all the while you're swallowing camels, right? That's tunnel vision. Despair vision is where everything's just negative. Nothing's good. Nothing's right. Nothing's hopeful. Nothing's positive. Nothing's bright. Nothing's progressive. Nothing's moving. Nothing's... If I had more time, I would expound on both of them a little more. Let me just say that they kill churches. They kill churches. They're a detriment to churches. And so we need vision that is great. Not small. not general. We need vision that is great, that is specific, that is in faith, that is bold, and that is persistent. I want to keep on keeping on. I want you to keep on keeping on with me. And together we're going to formulate a vision that is healthy and holy for the church. And I can only imagine what God can do with your life for 2020. I can only imagine. And it's going to be awesome. With a clear vision, with a proper vision, with clear insight into the unseen. What you're going to do for the Lord this year is amazing. It really is. I'm excited. I am excited. But I got a problem. You got to decide that you're going to be the best you can be for the Lord. And I don't get to make that decision for you. So I'm begging you to make it. The vision is only as great as the people working within the vision. And Zig Ziglar said, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. We don't need people like that. We need clear vision that is God's vision and what would be glorifying and honoring to Him. You get to make the decision what you're going to do with your life. I'm telling you, the future is bright. It's exciting. You want to make it brighter? You get your life right. You be right with God. And then together, wow, what God and I can do together. If you need to come, we invite you as we stand and sing.